Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Courtney.
And Courtney, how are you?
Well, I am just having a ball. Um, this is what happens when it's now 9:30, so I've reached the stage of unhinged.
Yeah.
So I brought show and tell for this episode.
Oh,
Um,
dear Lord.
it's okay if you're just listening. It's not a big deal. I'm in my book era. I've never in my life said I was in eras. That is not a thing I've done.
Yeah.
But today I've now said it about 17 times.
Perfect.
So here we are. That's who I am today. Um, I am going to our Destrehan library is doing a book sale this weekend, and I'm super stoked. I'm reading everything. So I'm going to Destrehan this weekend to buy more books that I don't need.
Okay.
And I have been looking at book boxes because I miss book boxes. I signed up for Book of the Month because I got it free, but I'm gotta cancel because it's $20 a month, basically. I think it's like $18 a month, but still, that's so much
Yeah.
for a book that I'm not going to read for 6 months or more.
Yeah.
And then, so I was looking at all these boxes. I was like, what's a fun box? Because I used to be with Once Upon a Book Box, and I loved it. I think it was $40 in, and it's like $70 now. And it's so like it's worth it. It's
Yeah.
just I just don't have the money right now because they
Right.
send you. Are you familiar with it?
No?
Oh, I'm obsessed. So they send you a book, and it's usually like a really hype book, whether it's like a new one or an older one, but like it's
Yeah.
usually whatever. And I think they tell you the genre before they send it. I don't really remember that. But then they send you all of these little like presents with it, and you open them on certain pages, and they like the gift matches whatever's happening in the book. So like I've gotten
Okay.
like a teaspoon and like a candle and like I think I got like gloves or something one time. Like they have all kinds of stuff in there. And it matched. Oh, I got like this really cute ring one time that was like I was reading one that had something to do with like a poisoning, and so like the ring was like one you could like open, and like that's how she had poisoned whoever was in the book. Oh, so cute. So I can't afford that. So I've been looking for more and more. So I signed back up for used books, which I forgot. It's like used book lovers or used book
Okay.
something. And it's like $10. They send you 2 books every month, and like they're pre-owned
Yeah.
books, and you get hardback, you get soft, and they just send them to you in your genre. Like you don't know what you're gonna get.
Okay.
Um, but it's like $10 a month, so I get 2 books every month for $10. So I'm very excited about that. That should be here soon. It shipped today. But as we know, I've been obsessed with the library.
Mhm.
So I brought all my books I'm currently reading so I can tell you what they are. As I mentioned, I'm in my Charlene Harris era. So she wrote the True Blood series, the Sticky
Mhm.
Stackhouse series, which
Yeah.
I read
A
in a
million.
summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read it a million years ago in one summer. So I'm reading Midnight Texas right now, and then when I finish this one, I'm gonna move over. I'm gonna finally move over to the Aurora Tree Garden series because I've been wanting to read it for years and just haven't. Um, and because I'm in too many book clubs, we're reading The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is a 2014, 13 or 14 novel. It's like YA about cold cases, but it's like a YA version. But I've heard it's really good. Um, one of the girls in the books already finished it, and she really liked it, so I can't wait to read it. I think it's a series. And then for my book club with Zach, we're reading Blood Over Brighthaven. I just smacked myself in the face. Blood Over Brighthaven,
Okay.
which I've recently started seeing on like Book Talk and on like book newsletters and stuff. Um, it's also it's like a magical realism-esque kind of
Okay.
fantasy, so it's not like high fantasy, but it's set in like an academia setting. I
Okay.
have not started the book club books yet, even though book club is next Monday. Um, but I'm devouring the Charlene Harris one. So I'm just like in my time of need for joy. Um, kind of anytime I slow down or like while I'm waiting on like my data stuff to load or whatever, I've been reading. It's been so nice. And I think I read 100 pages of the Charlene Harris book yesterday. So like I'll probably finish it the next couple of days,
Okay.
which will be good because I think I've rechecked it out 3 times from the library already, and it's gotta go back
Well,
soon.
so speaking of checking things off in the library, so I finished Refugee, which was the book I was reading last week that I was telling
Mhm.
you about.
Mhm.
And I finished that and I started reading House of Earth and Blood, which is the first book in the Crescent City series, which
I
is
saw that.
the
I liked it on Goodreads.
however, I took it out on Libby from the library. And apparently on Libby, if too many people are have a placehold, you can't renew the book.
Yeah, so you can change how long you can check it out for most of the time on Libby. As long as it's your home library, you can move it up to 21 days that you can check it out. But it auto does
It
7, I
auto does
think.
7. So it auto
Yeah,
does 7, and I wasn't paying attention because I checked it out before I actually started reading it because I was just so excited because I downloaded it like the
right.
second I got my Kindle. And I was like trying to learn how to make sure to move, I knew how to move Libby books onto my
Mhm.
Kindle. So it's going to expire tomorrow. And I don't know if it's going to stay on my
So
Kindle or
here's
not.
what you do.
Chrissy told me just don't ever close it and it'll stay.
Don't turn off your Wi or turn off your Wi-Fi on your Kindle.
Mm.
That's what you do. And then you can finish reading it and it should be fine.
Okay.
Um, because it your Kindle syncs with your like Kindle library usually, and your Kindle
Yeah.
library will remove it.
Mm.
I think even if it's open, I don't know if that's true or not, but I think even if it's open, it will
Okay.
remove it if you're synced. But if you turn off your Wi-Fi,
And
you
it
don't get
can't.
your Kindle credits for it. So like you don't get your like days of reading on Kindle. I don't know if you keep up with that. I'm real hardcore to that. I forgot to read yesterday and I broke a 25-day streak. So
Oh, no,
I'm upset today.
I don't even know if my
But
Kindle tells me how many days I've read. I have not
yeah,
figured out any of
so
that.
make sure you turn your Wi-Fi off that it doesn't have it set to automatically come back on. Because like
Okay.
I have it set to automatically connect when it can, or if I turn it off, it just comes back on after
Well,
24 hours.
the only place it links to my Wi-Fi is my house, so then I have to turn that off.
But there's a way that like usually the like I think the default is that like it will reconnect after 24 hours if you don't tell
mm,
it not to.
okay.
And
Well,
so do that.
if I have to pause Crescent City because I don't figure out how to use my Kindle correctly, I do already have my next book downloaded, and it is
Ooh,
The Last Kingdom by Bernard Cornwell, which is the first book in the
okay.
Saxon series. And you guys remember when I watched The Last Kingdom and
Hmm.
it freaked out about it. I believe there are 14 books in that series.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Is that like a high fantasy series?
No, it's a historical fiction.
Oh, why did I think it was high
I
fantasy?
don't know, but it is historical fiction. And it's just straight historical fiction. It's not fantasy. But the Saxon Stories books, there are how many books in this series?
See, I'm
Um,
not usually
it's
into.
historical fiction, but it's set in the ninth and 10th century England.
Hmm.
And it's 13 novels, yeah.
See, I'm not usually strong historical fiction. I like a romance historical fiction, but like just
Well, I mean,
traditional. I don't keep up
there is romance in it, but
well,
it's
yeah, but I'm talking about like I like Amelia Gray who writes like
oh,
the Earl of Mine or whatever is
no,
the
I
name of her
mean,
book.
like I've read in the last year, I've read obviously all of like the Akatar and Last
Mhm.
Kingdom stuff, or Last Kingdom, Throne of Glass books. But then the
Mhm.
only other books that I read were Refugee, which is obviously historical fiction. I read A Long Way or Inside Out and Back Again, which is historical fiction, and then I read a book about Paris during the Nazis. Like, so those are
Oh yeah,
those are my
yeah.
two big genres. So so I'm reading Crescent City and then I'm reading The Last Kingdom. So, both of them are long book series and nothing that I can just read quickly and be done with.
Well, Crescent City is only like a few books, right?
Well, it is. It's only three right now, but there's
Okay,
another
that's what I
one.
thought.
There's only three right now, but they're interconnected with the other book series,
What other
like
book
the
series?
Avatar and Throne of Glass books. They're all the third Throne of Glass or the third Crescent City book links those series together. So it's a multiverse, not universes.
But I thought you finished both of those.
Yeah, but they're not finished. Like they're in
Oh, I see, I see. But
like
you'll finish three, you'll probably still be waiting, so you'll move on to
I'll
Last
finish three
Kingdom.
and I'll still be waiting, but then I'll have
Right.
to like pause whatever I'm reading immediately the second the next book gets released.
Sure, sure.
But
Yeah. Anyways, oh,
books
you're
give
leading this one, not me. Yeah,
okay,
that's how I
yeah,
am. How
no,
are you?
good, yeah, books give us joy. And really, I don't have much else to say about anything except for my books, except that if you listened to Thursday's podcast, you will know that I had a long rant about me and money and my lovely, lovely husband. So after this whole conversation about hotels and the money we spend on them, I needed to buy a visa to go to the UK because if you don't know right now, the UK has changed their requirements and even US citizens do need a visa to go to the UK. So I went to do it. And the UK's government website was being glitchy and annoying, so I clicked on the first thing on Google for UK, like for a UK visa, which was in fact a third-party processor. Now, very clear distinction here. I want to be very clear about this. Third-party processors that charge an overage fee to help you process it are not scams.
They're just expensive.
They're annoying, they're expensive. But if you're, say, trying to get a visa to China or Vietnam, where the restrictions are much more complicated and you need someone to help you figure out what you need, what documents you need, how to process it, fine. However, the UK visa, you need about zero paperwork and it costs $25. So there's no reason to go to uh,
Third
a
party.
third party. The one thing that I will say I think is a little scammy on the third party website is that they don't tell you how much they're charging you in overage fees until the last second.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot. Like $95 a lot. But I did it. And then I got upset because I didn't realize it was going to cost me $120. Like the war that erupted in my house because I did this was insane. I was like, whatever, it's my money, it's fine, I screwed myself. And Dan's like, no, contest it. I was like, to do fucking what? My credit card company's gonna be like, did you pay for this? And I'll be like, yeah, fucked up, my bad. Like, what do you want me to do?
I will say I did that with my change of address one time when I was doing it, and I had to pay it over, and I didn't realize it was a third party also. So
Yeah.
like it was legit. I called like 75 people, and they were like, "That's legitimate. You just shouldn't have paid for it." And I got it contested, and they gave my money back. I
Well,
like went to the company and was like, "Hey, I did this already somewhere
well,
else."
well, what happened was I just immediately responded to the email that they sent me with my confirmation and was like, I apologize, but I no longer need this service. Can you please cancel the fee? And they said, absolutely, immediately refunded me.
Sure,
And it's fine. All
great, no
right.
problem.
And then I downloaded the app from the government, did it on my phone, everything worked. Totally fine. But I was like, it's my money. I fucked up. I screwed up. I'm still gonna get the visa. Let's just move on. And he was like, it's not your money, it's our money. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That is triggering for me. So what are we talking about? But then he was like so angry that I got scammed. And he kept saying, this is fraud, this is bullshit. He was angry. Like he was like, had to leave the room because he was gonna start yelling at me. And I was yelling at him. I was like, I don't know what the fucking problem is. Like, it's my fault. I'm the one who made the mistake. Let me just move on with my life. Like, it was a war.
That is wild. So tell him you saved $100 because you got your money back. And it's gonna cost $200 extra for anyone, like it's gonna cost $200 for anyone to drive you back and forth. So really, you're only spending $100.
Exactly.
I'll do girl math.
Yeah. Girl math, it's fine. But then it's funny because yesterday we were with my whole family and everything, so we're telling my parents and my sister and her husband the story and everything. And Colin was totally on my side. He was like, I'll be honest, if it was me and I was the one who made the mistake, I also would be like, whatever, sucks to be stupid, move like he was like, but if somebody like did that to Gabby, I would also be fucking pissed. And so he was like, I get it. I do get it. It's fine. But yeah, literally, when they tell you that, like, even in the healthy marriages, money is what you're gonna fight about, did not realize it was gonna be this kind of fight. Like,
Opposite, yeah. Yeah. What a time, what a time.
yeah, I have never seen him so angry.
That's so funny.
He like kicked a box to stop himself from yelling at me. I was like, but I fucked up. And he's like, you got taken advantage of. I go, no, 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 yeah, by my own stupidity. Like, I don't understand what are we upset about?
Like, I know that this is how they rank it on Google, and I know that this is a third party thing that happens very frequently.
And I'm like, there's a legal disclaimer right on the website. Did I read it?
Right.
No. Like, that's how is it their fault? Like,
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
That's
so that's how I've been doing in my life.
I love that for you. I love that for you.
All of this came on the heels of Brianna asking me if I kept track of how much I've spent on the honeymoon so far, and I said, was I supposed to be?
Jesus.
Yeah,
Oh,
so since I am broke and bougie, do you want to give me some words to encourage me?
absolutely. I will start by saying also broke, not bougie though. I have been having to count every dollar for this stupid New Jersey stuff that I talked about last week. But
Yeah.
today I was like, I need a break. It's gonna be a long day. I'm not really taking a lunch. I didn't really take a lunch. I'm not really taking lunch tomorrow. And I ordered out Panera and thought of you. But I had 50% off, so I spent like after tip and delivery, I think it was like 19 or $20 total. And I got a full sandwich and a big soup. And so I had half today and half tomorrow. So it's like the sandwich and soup meal, but I
Yeah.
had it today and tomorrow. And they sent me two
Yeah.
breads and not just one.
And did they give you food
And
poisoning?
fruit. And so far, so good. So far, no.
Well,
But I got regular, so I got like the chicken bacon thing I always get and
yeah.
the broccoli cheese soup. Like I didn't get anything
Yeah,
good.
no, just
Um,
the new sandwich is gross. But also, like I was explaining to one of my students, I don't blame Panera for giving me food poisoning. I blame the employees at that Panera. Like,
yeah, right, right. It's not Panera's fault.
it's not Panera's fault. It's that, like, if you don't wash your hands before you put your onion spread on my sandwich. Oh, but I didn't even tell you. I still think I had food poisoning from Panera. But the actual reason I was sick, I discovered this on Friday. For 2 weeks, I have been unwell.
Sure.
But also for the last 3 weeks, I've been eating Chomps every day. Chomps is a like nitrate-free, grass-fed, super healthy version of a Slim Jim, basically. However, because it's super healthy, everything in it is real, including the seasoning, which is full coriander seeds.
So again, we're not mad at chops.
Not mad at
We're mad at
Chomps.
ourselves for not reading the ingredients.
Yes. All of my problems in life are my fault.
Oh, bless it.
Which is why I need spiritual guidance.
And why you should go back to Slim Jims. We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve the beauty. Maya Angelou.
Love it. Love my Angela.
I know. I know. She's just a gem.
Speaking of love, we're going to talk about Stargate SG-1, Season 7, Episode 21. Lost City, Part 1.
I did read this title. I never read the titles. I read this.
It was rated 8.9 stars.
Ooh, fair.
Yeah, so significantly more than last week. It aired Friday, March 12th, 2004. We have the same song and the same movie, but the top book flipped back to Da Vinci Code. Apparently, we got sick of John Grisham.
I'm telling you. Look, the Da Vinci Code, I was the top
Yeah.
book for like 7 years or something.
On this day, I couldn't find anything that I really wanted to talk about, but South Korea impeached their president for the first ever time in their history on this day. And also, the US government began a stockpile of anthrax vaccines.
Good plan. Good plan. This is right after we meld it to that bird one. Important.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Good times. Good
Okay.
times.
Yeah, I'm doing great. This episode was directed by Martin Wood, written by Brad Wright and Robert C. Cooper, and edited by Brad Rhines. And our guest star. Okay. There's some. Our guest star is Jessica Steen, who played Dr. Elizabeth Weir. However, we will very shortly be talking about Dr. Elizabeth Weir again because Jessica Steen got recast. She's in this two-part episode, and the character does continue by a totally different actress.
Oh, bless her heart.
I was trying to explain to Dan who this character was, and he was like, "No, it's not. Dr. Weir's a brunette." I go, "Uh-huh." He goes, "It's supposed to be the same character." I go, "Uh-huh."
They didn't even dye her hair when they changed the character.
Oh, no. Yeah, the new actress is a brunette. Yeah, and they did not dye her hair. No.
Oh. Like, come on. Come on.
So, Jessica Steen is known for Armageddon, Chaos, and Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future.
I bet that is a hit.
It is a TV show from the 80s where she's the only female cast member, so probably
I
not.
knew it. I knew it was going to be a hit. That's the one for me.
She is a certified diver. She is trained in circus performing and is a certified stilt walker and fire twirler. And she got recast in her time on Stargate. Because while she was there to film this episode and work on it, she was very distracted because it was also during the season for planning the Burning Man Festival, which she's a part of and goes to every year and considers to be her family. And she kept saying she had to go home to plan a family reunion, but it was just the Burning Man Festival. And they were like, we just didn't feel like you were really dedicated to the show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Wow. That is not what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
Looking at her, that's not what I would have guessed.
Correct. Yeah. So she got fired so she could work on Burning Man.
Well, more power to her. She had a better time there, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh, she also said like in an interview that she thought that they really just hated her because she was so annoying because she like had never watched a single episode of the show and then came to the set just asking every question you could ever want to ask and she was like
for sure.
And she was like I felt like that was the energy Dr. Weir would have because like she wouldn't know anything and it's not the energy.
Can I tell you? That is the most annoying thing to me about actors that show up in the middle of a show and don't know anything about the show.
Yeah.
Or like show up to a movie that they've never read the book. And I'm like, she research.
She literally was like, I was pretty sure one of them was gonna look at me and be like, can you just fucking watch an episode of this show?
Truly, like I know there's like some episodes that like people are like on like season 8 and they're like, I only got through the first 5 seasons. Like there have been Doctor Who characters that are like, I only watched the first like 7 Doctors and then I ran out of time before the show. Yeah. Sure, fine. You're familiar with how the show works though.
Yes.
You get the concept, you know what's happening here. You don't just walk in blindly. But like truly like at least watch a season.
Yeah. So I could have saved that for the season 7 recap or for the trivia. But it just makes me laugh. And I don't want you to get attached. Wild. And I don't want you to get attached to her because
I appreciate that.
I like the second actress better. So
good to know. Yeah. Good news, good news.
But yeah, so yeah, okay, sorry. The next section was my trivia and I had like stars on it, but it was because they were things that were connected to each other. And I was like, what is happening? All right, so Jack is doing his crossword and getting ready in the morning when Daniel calls and is like, hey, I think we found another ancient knowledge repository. And Jack, the first half of this episode, Jack just doesn't give a single shit about anything that's happening.
I know. I'm sorry. My eyes just started like hella itching. Now I'm just like rubbing makeup all over my face.
And he's like, I'll be there in a half hour. It's fine. And he tries to get Daniel to help him cheat on the crossword puzzle, which apparently is a contest he has with Sam. And Daniel's like, no. But he does give him one word, and Jack doesn't believe him, so it's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Yeah. And then we see a woman who we don't know at this point, but it is Dr. Weir, and she is trying to get a taxi, and she's fighting with a man in Russian, which is like a really weird cold open for the show. When the vice president's limo is like, hey, please get in.
First off, here's the thing. You pull up in a black limo for someone that like, and you're like, please enter, you're gonna kill me. That is my first thought. Correct. I don't know, because she didn't see Kinsey till she got in the car.
Correct.
And I think Kinsey, I'd be like, okay, you're not gonna kill me. I don't like you, so I might not still get in the car, but like, I don't
I think my first thought if I saw Kinsey was that he was gonna kill me. Like, well, or at least orchestrate my disappearance.
I mean, he's pulling all the strings, so like if she's even being invited in, like, yeah. I think she was his choice. Like, he has regretted it ever since, but she was his choice. And like, so I don't think I would feel at risk for my life, especially if you don't know like the inner workings of Kinsey like we do. But for sure not getting in just like a random ass limo for no reason.
Well, I mean, to be fair, she was on her way to the White House and knew she was going to have a meeting with the president, so I don't feel like it's as terrifying in that situation.
I would have asked a few questions.
Oh yeah.
She did. She just like gets in the car. And then she's like, "Oh, hello, Kinsey," and I'm like, "This didn't
No,
get better."
no, it didn't. Yeah, but so that's our credits of her just getting picked up by this creepy limo.
Mhm, mhm.
After the credits, Kinsey is prepping Dr. Weir for her meeting with the president.
We're
And
just getting off this entire episode. I'm so
yeah, I'm
sorry
so
it's so
sorry.
late.
Yeah. And he's telling her about the Stargate program, and there's a really funny moment where the president writes her a letter that just says this is not a joke. Um, but so he's getting ready. He's like, yeah, you should read these files. Aliens are real. Uh, cool. Um, Back at the SGC, Jack gets there a half hour late because he was trying to finish his crossword puzzle. And Sam is like, the fate of the world is at stake, and your answers aren't even correct. So I really don't know what you're doing right now.
Yeah. She's like, "Were you really in your car for half an hour?" And he was just like, "But it was double or nothing." And then she's like, "But you wrote fat instead of 10."
He was like, I don't tell you.
So I completed it.
So then Sam tells Jack that SG's 3 and 5 will be joining them on their mission to the planet where the ancient repository is, and Jack still has no idea what's going on. He's like, "What are you guys talking about? What is this
I know.
mission?" I don't know what Jack had not had coffee yet at that point, clearly.
No.
Um, so then Jack, then Jack is now sitting cluelessly at the briefing table. Hammond comes in and they're now all going through all the details of what this mission is and why they should do it and whether it should be approved. And Jack still is just like, okay, what is happening? I have never felt like Jack was an idiot, really, truly an
Yeah.
idiot, until this episode. It's like,
I
what?
think it's just that he didn't have coffee. I think you're right.
Yeah. Um, so And and they're talking about like why it's so important to get the ancient knowledge, why it's risky, why but they can't get a hold of Thor, so they can't really take the knowledge into their head the same way that they did before because they don't have so they have to like try to figure out a way to get the entire repository back. But they do know that the gold, know that there's something on the planet. They think Anubis is gonna catch it. They have to do it right now. Everything is scary. So Hammond approves the mission. Then we're back in DC, and Kinsey brings Weir into an office full of boxes and says, "You should probably get some more information before you take the job." And she's like, "What fucking job? What are you talking about?"
Like, it's so wild to me. They're just like, "Come to the White House." She's like, "Cool. No question." She's gonna start asking more questions. I
Yeah,
would be like, "Why am I coming?" Like, sure, absolutely, I'm coming. But like, why? Like, do I need to prepare something? Like,
right.
that would like even if I didn't like if I wasn't concerned about just like showing up at the White House, I would need to know like what do I
What
prepare?
I
Like, do
need.
you need to like explain something to you? Do you need me to like meet someone else? Like, am I coming to help with something? Like, what's
Yeah.
the situation?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm
I
trying.
know, I know,
Um,
I know. We're gonna make
so,
it. Make it.
um, then Hammond sends the teams out to get the ancient repository. While they're on the planet, we see that the gold ship has entered the orbit of the planet. Jack is getting impatient, and Daniel's trying to. I wrote, Daniel tries to find the thing they're looking for, which is the stupidest sentence I've ever written.
It's
Um,
that's fine.
and they discover it hidden in a wall, but the ships are already making their way toward the planet. So everything's moving really fast. They try to figure out a way to get the repository off of the wall without it face hugging them. Um, but the ships get too close. They need to make a run for it. And then things get really dramatic. And Daniel's like, "I'll do it." Daniel's like, "We have to take it off the wall. And we can't leave it for Anubis to find it." So Jack tries to blow it up with C4. And Daniel almost cries. And he's like, "No, like, we need that. We need to find that lost city. We need the answers. We have to take it." And Jack's like, "Well, what the fuck do you want to do?" And Daniel's like, "I'm going to go for it." And Jack knocks him out, basically knocks him out. And he's like, "You are quite literally the most important person here. Like,
He's like, "You're the only one who can't do
you're the
this."
only one who can't do this. You're the only one who has the ability to translate when things start to go crazy. You are the last person we would
Yeah.
ever let do this." And then Jack's like, second time's the charm, I guess. And
Oh, bless.
downloads the ancient library into his head. Then they do blow up the device so that Anubis can't get to it, and they get home and tell Hammond that Jack did it again.
Jack's done it again.
And Dr. Weir goes to talk to the president, and she's in shock. and he asks her to run the entire Stargate program.
Bad news bears.
Bad news bears. Back in Colorado, Jack is weirdly at peace with like being about to die.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like really stressed out, and he's like, guys, it is what it is. Like, it was either me or the entire planet. Like, I don't know.
All right. He's like, this is, I mean, you joined the military with the understanding that you may
Yeah.
not make it till the end.
And he's like, since I'm going to die probably next week, can I at least just like have the weekend off to like get my shit together?
Fair.
And him's
Fair
like,
request.
yes, absolutely. Go home. Um, we go back to DC, and Hayes is saying to Dr. Weir that we need a government division to look out on the Stargate program, because like the military is running it by itself, and there's too many moving pieces and too many things that could potentially be involved to have the military just be on it, which we talked a lot about on last Sunday's episode. And she's a really talented negotiator. I'm like, basically, he's like, but here's the thing, you're not going to say no. You're going to take this job.
Like, I mean, how do you say no to the president? Like,
Right.
yeah.
Dan then went off on a diatribe about how that used to be how NASA was run until it became privatized. And then I don't really know where the end of his story went, because he went into the kitchen to continue cooking dinner and didn't answer my question.
Oh, it
So-
just,
So
how dare he?
NASA was military, but not military, run by a government department, and then one of the Bushes privatized it, but he didn't tell me which Bush because he was too busy trying to cook onions.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll never know.
So if you have questions about NASA,
Call Dan.
call my husband and ask him, because I don't know. And then Kinsey just immediately threatens Weir.
Yeah.
Cool. Then we have one of my favorite scenes in the history of Stargate, where Sam goes to visit Jack because she's really sad that he's gonna die, and she's really awkward, and it is the most awkward scene in the entire world.
It
She's
is
like, "Well,"
extremely awkward, yes.
so awkward. It is like the secondhand cringiest thing ever.
For sure, for sure.
But then she's like, this has gone too far. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I should leave. And he's like, no, you just finish your beer. And then, well, you have to stay a whole hour before you drive. So he's basically like, I'm also awkward and don't know what I'm doing, but I don't want you to leave. Like,
right. But like, you should be here right now.
Yeah. And then she is like really upset, and she's like, I wish it would have been me. Like, I don't want anything to happen to you. And he literally was like, you are a national treasure. You are the most important thing in this entire country. You can't be the one to die. Like, what is happening?
My heart.
I know.
Like, I love Sam, and she's pretty important, but like,
he was like, you are one of this nation's most important resources, like natural resources. In fact, you're a fucking national treasure. Like, you are. And,
I know.
And I was like, if that is not Jack O'Neill saying I'm in love with you, I don't know what else is.
Truly, truly.
But then someone knocks on the door, and don't worry, it's Daniel and Teal'c who are also coming to awkwardly hang out with Jack, because they're all friends, but they don't know how to be friends because they don't know how to have social lives, and it's adorable. But Teal'c brings donuts, so it's great.
Everything's fine.
And then we get a quick cut to Anubis finding out that the device was destroyed and having all of his Jaffa killed. Yay! Back at Jack's house, Daniel is drunk as shit.
Oh my god, he's so funny. Ugh.
And they're all arguing over whether The Simpsons is a analogy for the cool world, or if it's deep enough to be anything, or and it's just,
and it for sure is deep enough to be.
Oh yeah,
anything it wants to be. I don't know if you know,
but it's not as deep as Teal'c, clearly.
Not as deep as Teal'c. Nothing's as deep as Teal'c. But The Simpsons.
Are
you familiar with the conspiracy theories of The Simpsons?
Am I familiar?
Bro.
Yeah.
That is one rabbit hole I went down.
Yeah. And then the doorbell rings, and Jack's like, oh, thank God, the pizza's here. And as I said, my husband is walking in and out of the room, half paying attention to the episode while trying to cook dinner, and he just goes, I bet you it's not pizza. I go, well, no shit.
Well, of course, Dan. We all know who it is. They weren't trying to hide the ball in this one.
Yeah. I almost wrote for my notes for what to call this episode, nothing is as deep as pizza. but I meant to write Teal'c. I meant to write Teal'c and I wrote pizza.
Nothing is as deep as pizza.
We do have a
Fair.
pope from Chicago now, so maybe.
True, true.
Um, did that happen last week? Did we talk about that on the podcast?
We sure did it. I was for sure gonna bring it up last episode and forgot.
Oh
We have a new
man.
pope.
We have a new pope. He's from Chicago.
I learned
And
so much about the conclave this week that I didn't know.
yeah. And first of all, I have not stopped singing Papa Americano all week. But this is my brain. And if you listen to this podcast, like, and truly actually pay attention to our podcast, which is not many of you, but those of you who do probably also have very similar brains to us. The other night I was trying to take a shower and I just go, man, poor Father Tomas went through all that shit with Pazuzu just to have a different Chicago priest become the first American pope.
That's so
Just a
true.
fucking stupid thought in my head as I'm trying to shower.
Father Tomas, bless his
When I
heart.
tell you, I woke up the next morning and was like, why did my watch say my sleep was terrible? At 3:30, my heart rate spiked so high that the only answer is that I was having a nightmare about The Exorcist. And I never woke up, but my heart rate from 3:30 to like 6 o'clock was erratic as fuck. And I was like, well, Pazuzu's coming for me.
You're not supposed to, that's why you're not supposed to say his name
Yeah, so
on our podcast.
I know, we're all dead.
I would like to make a recommendation. If you want to learn more about the conclave, please go listen to the episode of Red Handed that just came out. They don't know when this episode was coming out, so they kept saying the conclave is next week, and it for sure came out like yesterday. But they do explain very well.
There is also a very
Like,
good
way it
documentary.
goes.
There is also a very good documentary on HBO right now about it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at watching documentaries.
Yeah, well, I am Catholic by marriage, so
Sure. I'm Catholic by proxy. My mom grew up in the Catholic school, and then I went to Catholic law school, so I'm like
yeah.
Catholic-ish.
I went to Catholic school. My aunt's a nun. My husband's Catholic.
Yeah.
But
We're fine. We're in.
yeah. But so yeah, so Hammond arrives, not the pizza, Hammond.
Mhm.
And he wants to talk to them and tell them about the new government department and the review process and all the things that we've already learned about in this episode. But he tells them that because of all of this, he's being relieved of his command, and Dr. Weir will be taking over the SGC.
Ick.
Um, he says he has to go to Washington, and that actually he thinks it's probably good for him to go to Washington and meet with the president in person. He has a history with Hayes, and he thinks that he can do the program more good by being there and having this conversation and being another ear for him. But he wants them to still go to work on Monday, like everything's normal, just keep doing what they have to do, save the world. So then it's now Monday morning. Weir is setting up at the SGC, and Danielle's kind of like giving her a little nudge into like trying to understand their position and where they're coming from, who they are. And she's honestly as confused as Danielle as to why she has the job. But she's like, I don't know why they chose me, but what I do know is that what I believe in is a big part of who I am, and blah blah blah. And I wrote she's gonna start with putting the kibosh on what she believes is Manifest Destiny 3.0. She's like, we started by taking over all of the continent, then we tried to take over the whole planet, and now we're trying to take over other planets, and like America really has to get their shit together.
You're telling me.
And Daniel's like, I'm not disagreeing with you, but like you don't understand where we're at in this war. You can't just pause it and pick it up when you feel like you understand the program. Like this is bad. And then the gate activates and she's like, I don't understand. Everyone is here. Like, who could it be? But it is in fact Braytac. And Braytac gets there.
Bestie Braytac.
Bessie Braytac is immediately not very thrilled that Hammond is not there. When he said, has Master Hammond of Texas fallen in battle? My heart shattered.
No, he's fine.
He's okay.
He's fine, don't worry. Oh.
But he tells them that Anubis will be at Earth in 3 days.
Okay.
So then we're in Washington and Hammond has gone to see Hayes and he tells them that he doesn't, and Hayes says that he doesn't fault Hammond for anything that has happened. He doesn't think Hammond is a bad person. He wishes that there was a way for everyone to understand how much Hammond has done and what he's given up. And he doesn't actually really trust Kinsey either. So he thinks that the best idea, he's like, if I'm going to be able to run this program and do this correctly, I need you here with me in Washington. I need you to work for me. He basically like asks him to join.
Mhm.
I don't know what position he's going to give him, but he wants him in the
Right.
White House.
And he's like,
Then
I was thinking about retirement. And he's like, no, absolutely not.
absolutely not. So then Kinsey and Weir are meeting with SG-1 and Braytac to talk about the Anubis situation. Kinsey thing is absolutely fucking unhinged and says he thinks that they're bullshitting and that it's too convenient, the timing, and he thinks that they make it all up. And Jack is just like, yeah, you're a fucking prick and does not hold back. And I really think that having Hammond gone, the biggest problem is that Jack now has no reason to respect anyone.
Mhm.
And Weir attempts to control the conversation, but the team is not having it. Like to the point where Daniel's like, "Do you even know what the fuck you're talking about?"
Yeah,
If Daniel tells you you don't know what the fuck you're talking about in a meeting,
right.
you have fucked up.
Yeah,
And then Jack starts speaking in ancient. and,
yeah, sure.
and they're
And
like,
it's really funny the dichotomy of him like saying the ancient words here and there, and then he's like, "What?" Like he sounds so dumb afterwards because he doesn't know what's going on.
right.
Like he doesn't know what's going on because he's saying it
Yeah,
from
but
inside. It's just so funny.
my favorite is when Daniel's like, "You said Darius," and he's like, "No, I did not." He's like, "Did too." And they're like, um, but he's like, "We're going to figure it out." But their solution is not fast enough for Kinsey. He wants an answer right now, or he wants to get rid of them. And Jack is like, "I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to her. She's supposed to be the head of this program. She's going to tell me what to do." And he's like, "She says that she'll consider it." And then my note says Teal'c leaves with Braytac because this is all stupid.
Yeah,
um,
correct.
Teal'c is like, I'm gonna go back to Chulak with Braytac and prepare things, try to get a ship, try to protect Earth. Really, he's like, I don't want to fucking deal with
Well,
these
he's
people
not about
anymore.
to get trapped in this mess, and who's to say they're not going to try and lock him up for being an alien because they're not going to
Right.
just release him into society? Like,
Yeah.
no, for real, that's the best decision. Just to
Yeah.
like peace out.
And then they leave, and and Kinsey starts yelling at Weir, and she basically tells him to fuck all the way off. And she's like, until someone tells me to get rid of this, to get out of this chair and out of this office, it is mine and my decisions.
You tell him.
And then we have a scene in the gate room where Teal'c and Braytac are heading away, and Teal'c and Jack have to say goodbye, but then they don't really say goodbye. They say ta-ta for now because goodbyes are bad and nobody wants to deal with them, and everything's going to be okay. And Teal'c tells a joke that is really funny, but it's not really a joke because it's Teal'c, and then we get a big to be continued.
Yes,
This episode had a lot of talking and a lot of talking about things we've already talked about, so I feel like my recap was really short.
that's okay. I have a lot of
But
feelings I need to work through. So,
please,
okay,
please.
so I'd like to start kind of where we left off with
Okay.
last time. I want to restructure the way that this has happened because I understand Hayes needing to make changes so that it doesn't look like it's just a military run secret.
Yeah.
Totally get it. However, that doesn't mean take the head of the department, move him away, and put someone in who doesn't know what they're talking about.
Correct.
If he wants to bring Weir in, fine. However, you gotta like ease her in. Like
Yeah.
you put them in. This is just like when you hire someone doing a job, even base level, you have someone train them. No one is there to train her. She's just like thrown to the wolves. And I'm like,
That's so funny that you think that that's how that happens, though, because like that. How many?
well, no, I understand in the political sense. I do understand the political sense.
But like not even just that. Like I mean, the number of times that somebody gets like hired to be like the principal
well,
at a
sure.
school,
Yeah,
tells them what to do. No one. Good luck.
right. But like in this situation,
Yeah.
I think you need to have some kind of training or at least someone to explain it to you that's there. So like, yeah, like a transitional team. And so like theoretically, SG-1 should be that transitional team. However, they have not been told that, and she has not asked them for that. And so there is no
Yeah.
like congruence there. And so if especially if he doesn't have a specific spot for Hammond right now,
Yeah.
it makes more sense to spend the next year or so transitioning, because while we have to tell the world soon, for some reason, all of a sudden we tell them soon
Yeah.
that they're going to find out, why don't we transition until that point? And then once it
Yeah.
starts coming out, then remove him and put him in the White House. You're going to pay him either way. You're not taking away his money, so it's not costing you extra. You're
Yeah.
creating a position from the White House because it's not, you don't have a position for him. So it's not a budget issue. It's not a look issue because you can remove it as soon as the rest of the world knows.
Yeah.
It is just, it's a little too sudden. And I
Yeah.
understand the choice. I don't think it's a terrible decision. I just think the logistics could have been done better.
So there is a real world logistics answer to that
Oh, okay.
I have it in my notes for this week's episode, but the more I think about it, the more I want to wait to talk about it because it feels more like a total season wrap up kind of
Okay. I can move on to my
conversation.
next feeling if you like.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna be mad about it, but I can do it.
No, it's okay.
Um,
I have to highlight that and make a note that I didn't talk about it right now so
you
that I
didn't
don't
talk about it
forget.
because I do need to know again in the later. All right, so fine, set that aside. So now I need to talk about Weir's introduction. I have a lot of mixed feelings because I like we've only just met her, but I
Yeah.
like her character.
Mhm.
I think she has good instincts, even though she doesn't know what she's doing. As of now, I think she is the right person if there's someone who's going to replace Hammond because she has the negotiation skills and she also isn't one to like cower down to people telling her what to do.
Mhm.
And I mean, I kind of got that vibe from the beginning, but obviously we really see it when Kinsey's there.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm upset that they're going to remove Hammond, obviously.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that they're putting her in. So I have this like mixed feeling about it because I think she's strong enough and I think she's going to make the right decisions. And I mean, just like she said, and she's very diplomatic. I mean, she's
Yeah.
diplomatic relations, but she's very diplomatic in the sense of like, she didn't immediately cower down to
Right.
Kinsey, but she also was like, I can't just immediately tell you that it's okay either. Like, I'm gonna have to consider it either way. But she's like, I understand this is like a time crunch. So like, I'm not going to put anyone in jeopardy, but I do need to know a
Yeah.
little bit more before I move forward, which is what Hayes said and what Hayes didn't do. And so I'm hoping she kind of follows through with that a little bit. And I imagine she will. And I also found it really interesting. She talked about like she was one of the biggest anti-military people and they're like putting her in because of that. And then she was like, well, one of the reasons that I want to come in and do this is because like if I'm anti-military, you can't just take away guns, you have to take away the threat. And she's like, so
Yeah.
I'm coming from the inside to take away the threat that's coming at us, and then on the outset, that's going to then, restrict our military arms because you don't need them if there's no threat. And I was like, that is such a better way of looking at it than just being like, take away the guns, because you still need protection, you still need military because there's still threats. If you take away the threat, then you can kind of start repealing some of that. And I was like, that is such a logical way of looking at that. And so I really like her, and I think I'm gonna really like her character. I understand she changes to a different person, but I hope she keeps the same like persona at least,
Okay.
and character ethics, because I think that I really am gonna like her if so.
I don't want to talk
Spoil
too
anything?
well. I don't want to spoil anything, and I don't want to talk too much about what her role in the future of the show is. Partially because I don't remember exactly in the timeline. So this season ends with a two-parter, and then next season begins with a weirdly double two-parter because it's a two-parter in SG-1 and a two-parter in Atlantis that are connected. So it's like a 6-episode arc that I can't quite remember the order of when things happen in those 6
Okay.
episodes. So I don't want to say anything that is out of place in those
Right.
6 episodes. But I appreciate I appreciate the torn feeling, but I agree that she is her heart is in the right place. And
I like having someone who's like knowledgeable outside of the military, because so far we have Daniel Jackson. And while he is very bright in a book sense, he is not meant to lead anything. So I think she is the leader version of someone who's outside of the military. And so think that's interesting too.
Okay. Do you have any other thoughts?
I think those are my feelings I needed to work
Okay,
through.
that's great. So like I said, some of my trivia is stuff that I really can't get too much into yet. But I did mention last week that this script was originally adapted from an unmade Stargate movie that was going to be like kind of a sequel to the original. It started with the ideas that were the sequel to the original Stargate movie. And then they
Interesting.
decided to take some of those ideas and adapt them to change them to what the characters that existed in the show were that were different from the movie and use that as like a bookmark. Like we had the movie, we had 7 seasons of the show, we have the movie done.
Do you have more information for the wrap up about what the second movie would have been
I
standalone before they
I
took it apart?
I can get
Yeah,
that.
I would like to know more about that.
I don't know how much is actually out there because I do
Sure.
know that Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, they still think that they're gonna make it. So they
Good
keep
for them.
good for exactly. So
Keep hope alive.
I don't know how much is available because I think that they still have some things under wraps because in their mind they're still gonna eventually make
Sure.
these movies. No one wants them, so that's fun. But
No one wants that.
so I will see what I can find about that. And they were going to make this movie, and then so they had all these plans to do this as a movie. Then, like I said, during the development of this season, they found out that they were going to get picked up for season 8, so they restructured it to make it this two-part episode. The other thing that's really funny is that it was originally aired as two separate episodes, the way we're watching it. But on the DVD, it is smushed into one 90-minute episode. So the credits are different in the 90-minute episode versus the two single
Sure.
episodes. And people who are characters who don't exist in the first episode are only credited in the second episode, which I appreciate because I hate when a two-parter spoils
Me
shit.
too. Me too.
However, in syndication, they fucked up and the single episode credits are often put into the two parts of it. So depending on where you're watching it, you may have completely incorrect credits for the show.
I will say I usually try to avoid the credits because I don't want to spoil anything. Like especially if I like know it, like if you're like a character's coming back, I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch it because I don't want to like
See the
know
name or
who's coming
anything?
back.
Yeah.
So I do try to usually sometimes I'll try to watch for like the like production credits. Like I like to see like who the writers are, the episodes sometimes, the director. But otherwise I try to like not watch the rest of it.
I honestly just most of the time phase them out, like don't even realize. Like I see them. Occasionally a
Yeah.
name will be like, oh, I'll like catch a name, but like I don't even pay attention to them.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so they're just kind of weird sometimes. And then all the other trivia I have has to do with production stuff. I know. I really was gonna share some of it, but I'm thinking about, I don't know how much it really confirms or denies things that are to come in the second half of this episode. And think that it is kind of a big thing for the whole wrap up of the season. So
Fine.
you only
That's
have to
fine.
you only have to wait 2 weeks.
I know it feels like a lifetime.
I'm so sorry.
And then after the wrap up, we watch episode 1 of Atlantis, or do we watch?
After the wrap up,
I know it's on our schedule. I just don't look at it.
no, after the wrap up, we are doing our DNA's part 2. We're gonna do the DNA awards for seasons 4, 5, 6, and 7 because I don't feel like we can really truly do a DNA awards for like
I forgot we
the
talked about that.
entire show, and I want to do the pre-Atlantis era before we get too
Yeah.
complicated. So we are going to do so guys, next week will be season 7 finale. Then we will have our season 7 wrap up, and then we will have the DNA part 2 with our DNA awards for seasons 4, 5, 6, and 7.
And then we have the first episode
And
of Atlantis.
then
We'll
we'll
start
end-
with SG-1.
We start with SG-1, so then it'll be
Okay.
SG-1 8.1 and 8.2, and then
and then
Atlantis 1.1 and 1.2. Yeah. And then we will start being much more diligent in letting you guys know what is coming next because we will be hopping back and forth between shows.
I truly looked at the schedule 2 days ago and completely erased my mind of what happened next. So
Um, yeah, where is it? There it is. I tried to color code the schedule for you.
I know, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so it'll be great.
It was quite helpful.
But yeah, so that is where we are at. Oh, I typed it. So who do you want to punch?
Kinsey.
Well, obviously, he
Every
sucks.
time, every day. I don't care if he's in the
Uh,
episode sometimes. I just want to punch him. I hate that man so much.
I
Also, sorry, did we know his name was Bob?
no, we find that out in the inauguration when in
Did
like
he just
the
call him Bob because his name is Robert?
yes, his name is Robert, Senator Robert Kinsey. But last episode, so
No, his real name is Robert.
no, his real name is Ronnie.
Okay. I thought his real name was Robert.
No, it's Ronnie, Ronnie Fox.
Hmm.
Woolsey's first name is also Robert. I think we just are Robert heavy on the show. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, but Woolsey, we always knew his name was Robert. Kinsey's been on the show since season 2 and episode 19 or episode 20 inauguration is the first time we learned that his first name is Robert.
Okay. I for sure thought I had made that up, and I know I forget a lot. I was like, surely I would have remembered that.
Yeah.
Because I also thought his real life name was Robert.
Yeah, it's not. But yeah, so punching Kinsey is the appropriate answer. I truly don't know that there is anyone else to punch.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go with Anubis because he actually is in this episode and he sucks. So
That's a good one. That's a good one.
yeah. So who is your MVP?
So it's much harder.
This is harder.
Because I have like a kind of a like I have a two-way tie. So split between Jack and Weir, for standing up for Jack and then, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Jack because he got the hand thing,
Yeah.
the reformatory.
Jack. Jack is the correct answer always and forever. I love Jack. But you are choosing Jack, so I'm gonna go with Daniel actually.
Drunk Daniel or sober Daniel?
Oh, drunk Daniel always. No. No, but no, Daniel talking to Weir, and trying to get her to understand from basically from one person who understands culture and negotiation and diplomacy and caring about like and hating the military and like one person who like two people who have very similar worldviews, trying to get her to understand what it's like on the inside without talking down to her. Like he's the only one who really is like, hey, none of us are really thrilled about you being here and he even tells her, he's like, it's not because you're not military, it's not because you're not a general, it's because Hammond was a good man, uniform notwithstanding. Like his relationship with us had nothing to do with the fact that he was a general. It had to do with who he was as a person. So you're not replacing the uniform, you're replacing a person, and you're gonna have to understand what that feels like.
Well, I think he also treats her with that respect because he sees her like on the same path as him because he was talking about how he even like cited some of her earlier papers and some of his earliest papers. And so like he sees her kind of as like a colleague already.
Yeah.
But so I think that's why he comes in like that.
And he really does talk to her like he's the only person who talks to her like she's not stepping on them by being there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I appreciate
he's a little fussy about it, but he is also straight about it.
Because everybody's pretending that the world's not gonna fucking implode in 3 days.
Sure. Sure. I mean, I'd be fussy too. So
yeah. So that is it. Next week is the part 2 where we find out what's gonna happen. So if you have any thoughts, theories, questions, concerns, you can always email us at duffandaliens@gmail.com or follow us on all of the social media at duffandaliens. You can follow me at EMKAY_superstar.
And you can find me at CE Cloud 13.
All right, and we will see you on Thursday.